Hey, welcome to Performance Physique. My name is Arj, and in this video, I'm going to go through the key cardiovascular terminology to help you with your running and cycling performance. Let's get to it. First up, we have easy pace. Easy pace is something that you've probably heard lots and lots about, and to be honest, you're probably still going too fast. The majority of your running miles or kilometers should actually be performed in this zone. This is the actual pace which makes a lot of the physiological differences to our body. We perform this zone at about 60% of our maximum heart rate. And I'll tell you a little bit about how to work out your maximum heart rate shortly. You'll find that easy pace running feels an awful lot slower than you actually believe is easy. The idea is that easy pace running improves your bone density, your cardiac health, your muscular adaptations, and also reduces your chance of getting injured. It's really important as well that you embed some easy pace running, particularly of longer durations, as you'll find it helps to build confidence in your ability to run those longer distances when we approach half marathons, 10Ks, or maybe even the marathon. Marathon pace. Just as the name suggests, marathon pace is effectively your predicted pace for running a marathon, or about 3 minutes slower per 10K for your actual 10K race pace. Now, the idea behind marathon pace is that it will boost your psychological confidence. It will also give you the opportunity to test out nutrition and hydration strategies. Marathon pace is similar to easy pace running, but it's a little bit faster and therefore may feel a little bit more natural to you. So some of your previous easy pace runs might have actually been performed in the marathon pace zone. Threshold running. This is where the magic actually happens. Threshold running is all about running at a pace which is uncomfortably comfortable. It's something that you can probably maintain for 20 to 30 minutes, say. Elite athletes will actually run their 10 kilometers and their half marathons at this pace. Don't expect to do that yourself, but maybe in a short while you will start working towards being able to maintain this kind of distance over 10 kilometers. You will find that you truly, really do improve your endurance performance. You'll be able to progress your speed and your distance at this pace, and by embedding some threshold running into every single week worth of programming up until your latter phases, then you will make miles and miles, literally, of benefits to your running. If you're going to incorporate some threshold running, look for about 20 minutes as a continuous tempo run, or if you're doing interval running, your threshold pace should be for a minimum of 30 minutes. Intervals and repetitions. Intervals give us the opportunity to reach speeds near and above your VO2Max. This is your maximum oxygen capacity. This allows us to develop our aerobic system, it allows us to develop speed and also improve our running biomechanics, as long as you're performing running drills to work and develop your running technique already. Depending on how you've constructed your training program and your interval or repetition sessions, you'll find there are a variety of benefits and improvements that you will make to your running. For example, if you do lots of fast work with short periods of recovery, you'll improve your oxygen capacity. But if you're doing something to develop speed, you'll have longer rest periods, and this will increase your actual pace. The key to this phase is about alternating periods of fast work and slower recovery stages. These recovery stages aren't necessarily just standing still, but are walking or taken at slower, easy pace runs. Lactate threshold. Now, this is a term that has floated around physiology for an awful long period of time, and it's the lactate threshold which underpins that threshold phase. Surprise, surprise. often considered as the best indicator of potential endurance performance, not just VO2max, but actual lactate threshold, which is the point where lactate production exceeds the amount clearing our body. It's at this point we believe our energy system starts to transition from the aerobic pathway to the anaerobic pathway. And the concept being, if you can improve and delay that transition, the fitter and faster you will be. So basically, if you have two athletes who have the same VO2max, which is the maximum amount of oxygen you can process, the one with the highest lactate threshold will likely win. Heart rate. You can calculate your maximum heart rate using the basic principle of 220 minus your age. This gives you a figure which is your predetermined actual maximum heart rate. However, there are large variations, and it's actually believed that only roughly 30% of people's calculation done in this method applies. As you get older, the variations increase, and therefore I've provided you with an alternative equation, which is 208 minus 70% of your age. That should give you something a little bit closer to work with, although again, maximum heart rate isn't the be and end all for your actual training sessions. This just gives you something to work on. We should never focus on just one data point. We should look for trends and patterns to make our conclusions on how we will develop your training program. Something which is expanding across the fitness industry at the moment is heart rate variability. But not a lot of people actually explain what heart rate variability means. You might see this as HRV. Basically, this is the difference in time between the beats of your heart. We find that if you have a greater variability in those beats, it suggests that your fitness is higher because you can adapt and respond where necessary to deliver oxygen around the body. There are quite a few question marks over this theory, and there are actually a large number of variations around these components because it relies on the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. Key Strava metrics. Now, most of us are using Strava as a tool of tracking our running and cycling performances. It is amazing, and I just wanted to go over these three main terms. Cadence. Firstly, cadence is the number of strides per minute you take, and interestingly, a study was performed looking at a large number of World Championship and Olympic long distance races, and it was found the winners, and in fact the top three places, always ran between 180 and 200 strides per minute. By increasing our cadence, we can reduce injury prevalence, and we can also improve our efficiency as a runner. Gap or gradient adjusted pace. This one's basically where Strava have developed a tool to account for elevation. This is fantastic for when you're working on tempo runs and intervals to see really how even your splits were. And then finally, suffer score. This one is for those who have the premium account on Strava, the Summit program. Basically, suffer score is a culmination of different metrics that Strava collect, but it means that the time spent in higher zones or the extended durations in the lower zones, such as a marathon, develop and build your suffer score, making you aware of how much load you've taken on that week and how much you should then apply and counter in the following weeks to ensure you don't get injured. Zones. Now, a lot of programs, coaches use these zones. They're particularly popular in triathlon and Ironman. So we have these 5 zones. Some people use 6, some use 7, but there are 5 key zones, and it just means if you have more zones, they've broken these boundaries up a little further. Zone 1 is effectively your recovery zone. So if you have a particularly hard training session, you might spend the next day or two working in Zone 1. You can see these numbers on the slide next to me refer to the percentage of maximum heart rate. As we move into Zone 2, this is our main endurance area. This is also working on something called capillarization. Capillarization is the development of small blood vessels, capillaries, in that muscle tissue, and it's what we get from aerobic adaptation. As we progress into zone 3, we're now looking at the start, the opening period of lactate threshold, so the onset of blood lactate. Into zone 4, and we are now well and truly working in that threshold zone, developing speed endurance. And then as we progress into zone 5, we're now transitioning into speed, maximal performance, anaerobic energy. Anaerobic being without the presence of oxygen. Right, there we go. I hope those tools have really helped you work out how to analyze your own runs and how to plan your runs. If you have any questions, make sure you drop us an email, info@performancephysique.co.uk, or follow us on Instagram and Facebook. It's @performance_physique. Go check out our website. Make sure you click like, subscribe, comment below, whatever you need to do. For now, train hard and I'll see you soon.